You see, it's geschmack. You didn't have to go out tonight. We could learn. At home. It's geschmack because it's really cold to go out tonight.
Yep.
Okay. Is the Gemara showing up?
Yep. Not anymore.
Okay. Oh, it's gone?
Yeah.
Okay, 1 second. Oy vey.
Got you on there.
Yeah, now I do spell the house. I have to get. I'll change it. Not sure why it shut off on me. Clearly my internet's not so good. So let me use a different internet. It's got my agent's internet.
Are you driving home tomorrow?
Yeah. That on? Okay, now hopefully we'll share the right daf. Okay, now we got the daf. Zok the Heilige Gemara. Set my screen up a little bit so I can see what's going on. Okay. Zok the Heilige Mishnah. Hakoymeitz mi'utoi ma'akev esruboy. We know the entire koymetz has to be placed on the mizbeach. So if there's even a little bit missing, it's ma'akev. So Zok Rashi mi'utoi ma'akev esruboy shemchisha kolshu possible, which we've learned many times already, that if even a drop is missing, it's possible. The same thing with the Yisrael. Miut ma'akev esruboy. Miut is ma'akev deroiv. The full Yisrael has to be there. By the mincha, when you're putting the mincha together. Hayayin, the same thing by the nesachim. Miutai ma'akev esruboy. Hashemen, again, miutai ma'akev esruboy. And hasoiles ve'ashemen ma'akvin zeseh. If there's soiles and not, if there's missing soiles or missing shemen, it's ma'akev the other thing. Now, everything has to be there. Hakoymitz v'alavonim ma'akvin zeseh. Everything has to be there. Otherwise, it's going to be possible. Zog the Heilige Gemara. Hakoymitz my time. What's the reason for it? Zog the Gemara. Amakra miloi kumtzai trace of me. There's two psukim that say miloi kumtzai. It's repeated, and therefore it's ma'akev. Isarin mi'ute ma'akev is rubai. My timer. Amakra misalta from it tzoiles she'imchas rakol shehu psula. We actually had this as well a couple of blot ago. Hayayin miut ma'akev esruboy, because it says kocha. Kocha means it has to be done exactly this way. Hashemen miutoi ma'akev esruboy. The minchas nesachim, it says kocha. By minchas nesachim it says kocha, and by minchas nedava amar kro umishamna. So we learn from umishamna that it has to have the whole thing. Okay, Zok Gemara weiter. And how do you know? Hashem and Vasoilas Makvin Zesa. How do you know that's Makvin one another? It says Misolta Umishamna, which it says by a regular mincha, and it says Migirsa Umishamna by the mincha Sa'omer. And since it says twice, connecting them together, we learn that they're ma'akev zeseh, misalto mishamna, migirshu mishamna. That's why they're ma'akev. How about v'akoymeitz v'alavonim ma'akev zeseh? Because it says in the pasuk al kol avoynasa, and then it says in another pasuk v'es kol avoyna shar la mincha. It's repeated it's ma'akev, like we learned to klal from Rav, anything that's repeated is ma'akev. Zok the Heilige Mishnah weiter. Shnei Seirei Yom HaKippurim ma'akvin zeh. The two Seirim, the Seir Lazozel and the Seir Lashem, are ma'akev on the other. Shnei Kivsei Atzeres ma'akvin zeh. The two Kivsei Atzeres are ma'akev. Beis Chalois ma'akvin suasu. This is talking about the Shtei Alechem. Shnei Sedor ma'akvin zeh. That's talking about the Lechem Aponim. Shnei Bozichin ma'akvin zeh. It's as well about the Lechem Aponim. And Hasedorin Babazichin ma'akvin zeh. Beis minin shebenazir, the two minin that are by a nazir. The nazir brings two types of chalos. There's chalos and rekikin. They're ma'akev zeh. Gimel shebepara, the three shebepara are ma'akev zeh. We're not going to give this phone to mommy. Are ma'akev zeh, and the three minim of para is eitz eres ve'ezah b'shnitay las, as Rashi points out, and the arba sheba mitzayah, which adds siparin, birds, ma'akvin zeh. Shiva hazois sheba para.
You skipped
para
the.
I'm sorry.
You skipped the Taida and Lulav.
Oh, I'm sorry. Gimel sheba para v'dalat sheba toida, the four minim of chalas, v'dalat sheba lulav, and the four minim of lulav, the arba sheba mitzayah, and the four minim by the mitzayah. Ma'akvin zeh. Shiva hazoy shebepara. You have to split 7 times al noichach pnei al moed. They're ma'akvin zusu. You have to do them all. Zayin hazoy shal ben avadim. Shal aparoiches. Shal mizbech hazav ma'akvin zusu. But the 4 zrikas of a chatos hachitzoni, we learned that if you only did 1 zrika, it would be good. So it's only the chatois hapnimiyos where every single matana is ma'akvin. Zok the Heilige Gemara. It says chuka by Yom Kippurim. After all of the avodas, it says a lashon chuka, and that's how we learn that everything of the avodas on Yom Kippur are ma'akev. Okay, weiter. It says shnei kivsei atzeres ma'akvin zeh. It says havaya. There's a lashon of yiyah over there. Rashi says Zois Chuk Asatara. It says by Yom Kippur. Tia is a lashon havaya, which also is likuba. Shtei chalois havaya. It says by the 2 chalois of the Shtei Alechem. It says havaya. Shnei sedorin by the Lechem Aponim. It says chuka. Shnei bazichin. It says chuka by Lechem Aponim. I'm sorry, by the Lechem Aponim. Correct. Hasedorin by bazichin. It says chukah as well. So the lashon chayk by Lechem Aponim says that everything is ma'akev. Shnei minin shebenazir. The chsiv kein yeyasa. We had this earlier to tell us that it's ma'akev. Gimel shebapara. It says zois chukas atayra by the beginning of the parsha of Paraduma. Arba shebatoida, the 4 minim of bread that are brought to accompany a carbon taida. The iskish lenazir. There's a hekesh from Toida to Nazir. The chsiv al zevach Toida shlomav. We actually had this again in last parak when we were discussing how do you know the ikufas. Yomar mar shlomav l'rabbi shalmi Nazir. So that's how we know that shlomim and Toida are iskish l'nazir. V'arba sheva mitzayah the chsiv zois tia teres mitzayah talosh navaya v'dal chabululav, because it says ulakachtam. Ulekachtem lekicha tama. It has to be a complete lekicha, all 4 minim together. Okay. Amar Rab Chanan by Rava loy shanu ela she'ein loy. That we say that you need to have all 4. That's dafka she'ein loy. So Rashi says if you don't have all 4 minim, then we'll say it's ma'akev. Aval yesh lo, if you have all 4 minim, ein ma'akvin. So the question here, there's actually a shayla what that means. Rashi says what it means is afilu ogdon ke'echad. Even if the 4 minim are not tied together, but you have all 4 minim, that would be good. There's others who learn that you'll be mekayim the mitzvahs arba minim even if you only shake one at a time. Rashi clearly does not say that. Rashi says the shayla is if you have to be ma'agid them together. but there are Rishonim who learn that there's a tzad to say that you could even do one at a time. As Tosha says in the Halachos Gedolos. Pirish Balachos Gedolos Balachos Lulav Yesh Loi Ein Ma'akvin Deloi Tema Adam Magve Lahu Bahadi Adodi Loi Nofik Eli Magve Chad Luchudei Shaper Dami the Kaim Alon Lulav Ein Tzarech Agada. That's what the Halachos Gedolos says, but that's a little bit controversial. Rashi says the whole shayla is they have to be tied together, but about you have to. There's no havamini that you could lift them up separately. Okay, Zok Gemara, Meisvei, Dalad minim shabalulav, Beis mehen, oisen Paris. Two of them have Paris. Ubeis mehen ain't oisen Paris. The minim make Paris. The esrig is Paris, and the tamarim, which is the palm date, the palm tree, also has Paris. But the arava and the adasim don't make Paris. Okay, Beis mehen oisen Paris, Beis mehen ain't oisen Paris, but oisen Paris. Use cooking l'shein oisin, l'shein oisin Paris. Use cooking loisin. In other words, you need all four of them. They all have to be together. Bein adam yoytzi dechivase bahen achiu kulon baguda achas. They have to be baguda achas, which is not mashma like what Reb Chanan bar Rava said, who said they could even not be mu'ugad as long as yeshla. V'chein Yisro. Barza Achi Kulon Baguda Echas. Barza Rashi says is Kished Misanin when Klal Yisrael is fasting because they don't have rain and their parnasa is lacking, so they make tanesim for that. When does it tuoif? When do their davening to the Rebbeinu Shalom? Tuoif Kished Misanin Einenin Achi Kulon Baguda Achas. Tzadikim u'rishoim dum yuda'oisin ve'noisin Paris. So at first you saw the Bryce separating oisin Paris, ein oisin Paris, but the shaykhs. The shaykhs is the comparison that Klal Yisrael as well. When we're davening to the Rebbeinu Shalom and we're trying to play lois, it's only going to be play lois if the tzadikim and the rishoim come together. Neither one shuns the other side, and everybody's machshav the other side. And everyone's kaguda echos, just like the Araminim Shabalulov, side those that make pairs, side those that don't have pairs. Only there will they have the oiftu that they need to have. So the chen yisol barza achi kulon baguda achas. I give it to Menachos. Oh, yeah. Shenemar, was steht in pasuk, haboina b'shemayim aloisov. How? Bagudosay al oretz yisod. As Rashi al oretz yisod is man chagudosay biyachad. Oz yosta. If on this world we're biyachad, then we'll have a Yeshua from the Rebbeinu. So we have a stira. Do the four minim have to be ugly together or not? Zakmar Tanoi. In fact, it's a machloikas Tanoi. The Tanya we learned lulav bein agud bein she'ena agud kosher. Rabbi Yehuda agud kosher she'ena agud pasel. My time with Rabbi Yehuda. What is the svara of Rabbi Yehuda? Zok to Gemara. Gomer kicha me'agudos ezav. We learned kicha from agudos ezav from the agudos ezav. I think of the paraduma. Malalon baguda, afkan baguda. It has to be all together. I just want to be sure that I'm right. I believe it's from the agudas ezav. No, I'm sorry. It's from the agudas ezav of Pesach that Klal Yisrael had to put the dam on the mashkleif and on the two mezuzos. It was done with an agudas ezav. Could someone check to see if I'm not making a mistake? I'm pretty sure that's the agudas ezav that I'm talking about.
According to Arsenal, you're not making a mistake.
Oh, okay, gewaltig.
Pesach Mitzrayim.
Okay, gewaltig. So zog to Gemara weiter. Mal alam aguda afka baguda. For Rabbanon, loy amri kicha. They hold that you don't learn kicha from agudas ezav. Okay, gewaltig. So Tosfos actually speaks out. What about kicha mistei Ephraim? They do learn kicha mistei Ephraim. And that's how we learned that kedushay kesef works. So Tosfos, it's a small little Tosfos, second from the bottom. Shema Hach nohacha ain't a mufna. Could be one say shav is mufna and one isn't mufna, and that's why here they're not darshaning it, but over there by kedushin they do learn kicha kicha Mr. Efrain that kedushi kesef works. Zog to Gemara. Kaman knows the other time. So who would be the author of the following prize? Lulav mitzvah lo'igdoi, but from lo'igdoi kosher. Memanashech. Come on. Ikar Yehuda lo'igdoi kosher. He holds if it's not oged, it's possible. And Rabbanan, there's no mitzvah to be ma'agid at all. My mitzvah. Zok to Rabbanan. The prize is going to go into Rabbanan where it's not ma'agid. So my mitzvah. What does the prize mean that it's a mitzvah to be ma'agid? Mishum zakeli van veyu. It's not a din in the mitzvah's lulav, but in a din that whenever you do a mitzvah, the mitzvah has to be done in as beautiful a way as possible. And what could possibly be as nice as nice kosher with all the fancy crowns on them that puts it all together? That's what makes the mitzvah beautiful, and that's why the Brasha says that the chatchila it's a mitzvah to be maggid. Doctor more about Sheva hazoi shebepara, and we're talking about the hazois of the dam keneged pesach oil moed of the paraduma makbez zuzu. Sheva Azoy shall be Nabalim, Vishal Mizbech Azob, Vishal Aparoiches Makbezuzu. The Yom Kippurim, there's rikas that are done in Yom Kippur, Ksiv Chuka. And the Parkoid Mashiach, the Payal Bavashal Tzibur, there they don't make any rikas in the Kodesh HaKodeshim, but it's done on the Paroiches and on the Mizbech. If you want to sit here, you're not allowed to talk. Okay. Be quiet, okay? The Zir Avad Chavim is Kiritani. It says, this is what we learned in Mesech Zvachim, it's against Chazorah. But when the Torah lists off the Parkoid Mashiach, first it lists off the Parkoid Mashiach, then the Payal Bavashal Tzibur. And it repeats word for word exactly what had to be done. It says it once by the Parkoid Mashiach, and it repeats it again word for word by the Par Helam Dover. Yet the Pasuk also says, the also the Par, that's your also the Par. Hemi, if you want to stay in this room, you have to be quiet, okay? So it says in the Pasuk, also the Par, Kasher also the Par. The Torah says, do to the par Helam Davar the same thing you do to the par Kohen HaMashiach. Now, tell me, you know what Kwan means? That means. So if it says why did the Torah have to repeat again all the details? It says already, do to the par Helam Davar the same thing you do to par Kohen HaMashiach. So Matam and Loimer, why is it repeated twice? Lich Boil Bazois, to tell us 2 times that there's the hazoyas that are required, and therefore it's ma'akif. Let's turn on top of base. She'im chizer achas min ha-matonos lo yasa klum. If any one of the matonos required, the matonos dam required by the Parkrei Mashiach and the Paylam Dover, if he belt, it's repeated twice because it says it, and it says V'asa kasher also, that tells us that it's mine. Tanu Rabbanan. This is like a quick primer on Maseches Zvachim. Tanu Rabbanan. Sheva Azoy Shebepara She'ason Bein Shaloi Lishma. If you did it Shaloi Lishma, or Bein Shaloi Mechuvanais, you weren't doing it connected to Heichal. You spritzed it in the wrong direction. Sulais it will be possible. V'sheb B'fnim, V'sheb B'mitzayra. And what about the zrikos that have to be in the Kodesh HaKodeshim, or the oil that spritz, or the diamond oil that spritz by the Mitzvah also keneged the Heichal. Shaloi Lishman is psulois, because they're like a chatos, and chatos Shaloi Lishman is possible, but Shaloi Mechuvanois, but if it's aimed in the wrong directions, then it will be cut. Frank the Gemara, Latani we learned Kabay Para, Shaloi Lishman psulois, and Shaloi Mechuvanois is kserais. So we have a stira. The first brayta says by the paraduma, if you didn't shoot it in the exact right direction, it's going to be possible. But the next brayta says that if you spritz the dam of the paraduma, so he's standing there on harazesim, and he's not spritzing directly in the direction of the heichal. There it says it's kosher. Amar Chisda loy kasher. Rabbi Yehuda Rabbanon. It's a machlekes tanoim if the kohen has to aim perfectly connected the kodesh. Connected to Heichal, and again he's in the east and he's spritzing towards the west. Zok to Gemara, and here's the machlokes. So there's going to be a long discussion between the machlokes Rabbi Yehuda and Rabban that has nothing to do with Zrika Saddam. It has to do with how you darshan psukim, And from there, we're going to show that it's related to this machlokes. The Tanya we learned, Mechusar kapara shenichnusu lazar. Someone did the full tahira. The only thing that's missing is he has to be makar of karbonis, like a yoleves, or like a zov, or like a mitzayra, and he entered the azara before he brought a karbonis, even though he did everything already. So if it was b'shogig, he's chayiv chatas. If it's b'mezid onush kares, he's not allowed to come in into the Beis Hamikdash when he is a mechusar kapara. The ein tzarich loimer tful yoim, kol shekain tful yoim is surely going to be chayiv kares if he comes into the azara. A tful yoim is somebody who already toiveled, but he didn't yet wait for nightfall. He didn't have shemesh. V'shar kol atmeim, and all tameim, of course, who walk in, or real tamei walks into the heichal, into the azara, will be chayiv kares. Amazing. Utahayim shenichnusu lefnim mechitzasan leheichal. But if someone who's tar walked in, so a Yisrael who's tar, who has no business being in the heichal, if he walked into the heichal, kulai anywhere in the heichal, ba'arboim, he's going to get 40 lashes. He gets malchus. Mi beis leparoiches el panei kaparis. If he's in the kodesh hakodeshim, that's mi beis leparoiches. And El Panei HaKaparos be standing squarely right in front of the Aron Kodesh, the Misa he'll be Chayev Misa. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Kol Heichal Kuloi Umi Beis LeParoches Barboim. The being in the Heichal, and even if he goes into the Beis Kodesh HaKodeshim, anywhere in the Kodesh HaKodeshim, besides directly in front of the Aron, he only gets Malchus. But the El Panei HaKaparos B'Misa, but if he's right in front of the Aron, then he's Chayev Misa. But my commitment, what is this machlokes between Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabbanon as to if someone's in the Kodesh HaKodeshim but not connected to Aron, is he chayiv malchus or is he chayiv kares? So everybody agrees in the Heichal he's chayiv malchus. Everybody agrees in front of the Aron he's mechuyev misa. The machlokes is if he's somewhere in the Kodesh HaKodeshim other than directly squarely in front of the Aron, to the east of the Aron. Facing west, facing the Aron, that's where everybody agrees that he will for sure be chayiv misa. And the question is anywhere else in the Kodesh HaKodesh. What is the machlokes tolian in how they darshan psukim? So zog to Gemara b'haikra. It says vayomer Hashem al Moshe daber el ahar nachicha v'al yovoy b'chaleis el hakodesh. That refers to the heichal. El mibeis laparoiches el panei hakaparos. So the Torah is separating these three zones. There's Kodesh the Heichal, Mibeis LaParoiches, and El Panei HaKaparos. Asher La'aron, V'lo Yomos. So the question is, V'lo Yomos in the pasuk is referring to what? Rabbanan Savri, the Rabbanan learn, El HaKodesh is V'lo Yovoi. It says, the pasuk starts off with a lav. The Al Yovoi B'chaleis El HaKodesh, that's referring to the Heichal. Mibeis LaParoiches, that's referring to the second half of the pasuk. That's b'layamas. So the way we would read the pasuk is comma or period. But mibeis laparoiches and al panei hakaparos is a chiv misa. Rabbi Yehuda Sover no el hakodesh u'mibeis laparoiches is b'layavoy. So put the comma after mibeis laparoiches. And Vel Panei HaKaparos, and only the third case of Vel Panei HaKaparos is B'layamos. So it's a machlokes how to read the pasuk, basically where to place the comma. Frankly, more my time in the Rabbanon. What's as far as the Rabbanon who places the comma right after El HaKodesh, and he says me based on Paroiches is Chayv Misa. So the svara is very simple. If you're going to hold like Rabbi Yehuda, that there's only a lav coming into the Kodesh. If that's the case, Lichler v'Rachmana el HaKodesh ve'el Panei HaKaparos v'lei beis laparoiches. The Torah should have said, if you come into the Kodesh, you're Chayiv Malchus, and if you go el Panei HaKaparos, you Chayiv Misa, and then it would be obvious that mi beis laparoiches is also Malchus, because if it doesn't qualify for Misa, it's for, if you're coming into the Heichel, you're going to be chayiv Malchus. So how are you going to get into the Kodesh HaKodeshim through the Heichel? So of course, if you came into the Kodesh HaKodeshim, you'll be chayiv Malchus. So why did the Torah need to speak out mi beis laparoiches? So that's the Gemara's question. Mi beis laparoiches mi boy. Zok to Gemara, we don't need it. Zok Gemara mi beis laparoiches the cause of Rachman Elam Ali. Shemami Nabamisa, it must be because the Torah is trying to tell us that even mi beis laparoiches anywhere in the Kodesh HaKodeshim is chayiv Misa. That's how the Rabban learned the pasuk. Rabbi Yehuda says no. Because of Rachman El HaKodesh, v'loy kasav mi beis laparoiches. If the pasuk only said El HaKodesh and not mi beis laparoiches, hava mina my kodesh mi beis laparoiches. I would have thought that the kodesh means in the Kodesh HaKodeshim, not in front of the Aron. Aval heichel, but if you went into the heichel, lav namiloi, there wouldn't have been a lav. That's why it had to say all three. So for a Finkel share, I'm just finishing off the Amid over here, and then we'll go back to where you guys are up to. So you need another 5 minutes or so. For Rabbanon, ha'ilei matzah samrit. According to Rabbanon, you can't say that. You know why? The heichel kula ikru kodesh. You can't say there'd be a havamina that the heichel wouldn't be a lav, because klor the heichel is called kodesh. Shenemar, it says in the pasuk, "V'vdila paroiches lachem beina kodesh uvein kodesh hakodeshim." So the Torah specifically refers to the heichel as the kodesh. So when it says "Val yovai el hakodesh," it means you know how to come into the heichel. So therefore, mi beis laparoiches must be an added level that's chayiv misa. Gewaltig. Rabbi Yehuda, my timer, and what's the svar of Rabbi Yehuda? Zokter isol kedaydach kidekami rabbanon. If you're going to learn like the rabbanon that el mi beis laparoiches anywhere in the kodesh hakodeshim is chayiv misa, well then lichter v'rachmana el hakodesh you get malchus, mi beis laparoiches you get misa. Why do we need to turn to speak about Pnei Kaparis? Well, not mean I would say very simple. Anywhere in the Kodesh HaKodeshim there's a Chiv Misa. El Pnei Kaparis mi boy. Surely, if you're in the Kodesh HaKodeshim right in front of the Aron, that wouldn't be better. That would be worse. So for sure you'll be chayiv. So why does the Torah have to speak about El Pnei Kaparis? El Pnei Kaparis the cousin of one Lamali. Shmami no like what I say. Dafka El Pnei Kaparis is b'misa. But the beis laparoiches is just like in the heichal, ba'asar, there's only a lot. V'rabbanon, hachanamid lotzar. According to Rabbanon in Hanami, it didn't need to say lefnei kaparis. It could have just said mi beis laparoiches, that anywhere in the Kodesh HaKodeshim there's a chiv misa. Behind the kazav rachman al pnei kaparis, you know why the Torah sticks on pnei kaparis? Lemute derech mishubash or mishupash, depending on your girsa. Meaning, you're only going to be chayiv for coming into the Kodesh HaKodeshim if you come in through the front. What if you came in through the back door? Or if you drilled a new hole, made another door, you didn't come in through the front, there's no Chiv Misa for going in to the Kodesh HaKodeshim. It says, Al Pnei HaKaparis Kedma. You have to spritz the dam toward the Pnei HaKaparis Kedma. Zeh bo na'av. It says, Al Pnei HaKaparis. Why does it say Kedma? Kedma means that you're on the east side of the Kapiris. In other words, when you're spritzing on the Kapiris, you can't stand on the west side or on the north or on the south. You got to be standing on the east side facing the Aron. Zebon Av, Kol Mokim Shenemer Pnei. Whenever the Torah says El Pnei Kapiris or El Pnei anything, Einoi El Pnei Kodim. It always means you're on the east side and you're facing the west. That's what it teaches us. Meaning, when you're coming into the Beis HaMikdash, you got to come in from the east, going toward the west. Rabbi Yehuda, the Omar. So, according to Rabbi Yehuda, the Omar al Pnei Kaparis Dafka. Rabbi Yehuda, who says al Pnei Kaparis is Dafka, meaning Dafka, that's Chayiv Misa. But you're not Chayiv Misa being anywhere in the Kodesh HaKodeshim, he also Pnei Kaparis is Dafka. Dafka there, are you Chayiv Misa?
Yes, I think you skipped a line, no? Rabbi Yehuda, one line above.
What could you tell you, Rabbi Lezben Yaakov, Al Pnei Kaparis Kedma, Zebon Av Kamokim Shenemar Pnei Eina Ela Pnei Kodem. Oh, Rabbi Yehuda, you're right. I did skip a line. Thank you. Rabbi Yehuda. Oh, now I have why I was getting confused. Thank you very much. Rabbi, thank you for stopping me from stepping out of line. Rabbi Yehuda, Lema kra pinei. It could have just said pinei, and I'll know that it's in front. My el pinei, shmamina el is dafke. Zok Rashi, Rabbi Yudah, Domer el pinei kabar is dafke. The bemisa, and we based up a roiches is lav dafke. So Rabbi Yudah learns el pinei kabar, that's dafke where there's a chiv misa. But Stamazoi being in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, there you're not chai. Okay, so now let's have a look at this. So if Yehuda Amar El Panei HaKaparos is dafka. If that's the case, then when it says by the Para Aduma, V'hiza El Noichach, it's also dafka. So this whole shtickle that we just had about a discussion as to what the chiyuv is if you're in the Kodesh HaKadoshim is all to determine when it says El Noichach if it's dafka. So Rabbi Yehuda learns El Panei HaKaparos is dafka, and you're only chayav misa if you're in front of the kaparos, and if you're in front of it on the mizrach side. So therefore, once he learns El Panei is dafka, so when it says El Noichach by the zrika of the dam of the paraduma, it's also dafka, and that's why Rabbi Yehuda holds that if you didn't spritz the dam in the right direction, it's going to be possible. V'Rabbanon Mida Hasam Lav Dafka, he says Al Panei HaKaparos is Lav Dafka, because not only are you chayiv misa Al Panei HaKaparos, you're chayiv misa anywhere in the Kodesh HaKodeshim. So therefore he'll learn that El Noichach, that tells you the direction that you have to spritz the dam of the paraduma, is also Lav Dafka, and therefore that explains the brisa that says if you spritz the dam of the paraduma, not keneged the Beis Kodesh HaKodeshim, it's going to be kosher, because al noichach doesn't mean it has to be perfectly aimed in the right direction. Matchka v'lo Rabbi Yosy v'lo Rabbi Yudah mida al dafka, then al nami dafka, meaning when it says that you have to spritz the dam on the kapiros on Yom Kippur, you have to spritz the dam on the kapiros, it should be dafka as well. And if it is dafka according to Rabbi Yehuda, then I have a big problem. In the second base of Mikdash, there was no kapiros. So if there was no kapiros, how did they do this rikas dam on Yom Kippur in the second base of Mikdash? El the Mikdash sheni lo yava aron bekapiros hachanami lo yavad hazoyis. They didn't do hazoyis. Amar Rabbi Bar Ula Amar Kra v'chiber es Mikdash hakodesh, meaning the mokoim hamakudish lakodesh. The chiv to spritz the dam wasn't on the mizbeach, wasn't on the aron. It was on the place of the aron. It was on the place of the aron. And therefore they were able to make this rikas adam in the Beis Hamikdash Hasheni, even though there was no kapiros. Rav Amar, the whole steamer between the two brises. One brise that says if you spritz the paraduma in the wrong direction, it's possible, and the brise who says if you spritz the paraduma in the wrong direction, it's kosher. Hava Rabbanon, they're both going according to Rabbanon, and it doesn't have to do with if El is dafka. What does it have to do with? It has to do with a whole different shaila, so much simpler. And let's go on to koyach, and we'll just see Rabba's teretz, and then we can stop. Ha de koy mizrach u'ma'ariv. If you're on the east, which is on Har Zaysim, and you're shooting it towards the west, it doesn't have to be exactly perfect, even though it's not mochuven. The bride says it'll be kosher. Va'adi, and he spritzes. Ha de koy tzaf medarim va'adi. The bride that it says if you spritz in the wrong direction, it's possible. That's if you spritz it totally off to the north or to the south. That's when it's going to be possible. That's when the bride says if it's not muchavanois, it'll be possible. But the bride that says if it's not muchavanois kosher, it means you're spritzing it towards the west, but it's not perfectly aimed to hit the door of the heichal. It's just in that general direction. That will be kosher. Okay, Baruch Hashem, we were zoicha to finish Daf Chav Zayin. The Mitcham tomorrow at 7. We're going to continue learning Daf Chav Ches. I'm going to stop the recording, and now we'll go back to where Rabbi Finkel left off, and we will.
Shkoyach, yes.
Are we learning at 9 o'clock as well?
Right, 7 and 9.
Okay.
Yosy?
Yeah.
Yosy?
Yes.
The Gemara says that there was only one Amud that he could, when you're standing in Har Zaysim,